Cattle Show.
What's happening? A Sunday afternoon. How about Sunday afternoon news in our lives? It's the Nick Cattle Show. Thanks for joining me as always. It is very much appreciated. Mac Jones has been traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars for a 6th-round pick. This trade will become official on Wednesday, but Mac is gone. Mac Jones no longer a New England Patriot. And you had this feeling on Friday, right? At least I did. Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network posted on X/Twitter on Friday that the Patriots were taking calls on Mac Jones. That was a big, fat for sale sign on the front yard here at Gillette Stadium. As soon as that report came out, as soon as I saw that tweet, we all kind of knew, or at least should have known, that Mac Jones's days were numbered as a Patriot. That, to me, was the Patriots sending the signal across the NFL, get your bids in now, because we're moving on. We're not going to wait. We're not dragging our feet. We're getting rid of Mac Jones. If you're interested, give us a bid right now. That's what happened on Friday. As soon as I saw it, get your bids in right now. That was the message. Message delivered. And now we know Mac is out. Rappaport and Tom Pelissero, NFL.com, wrote this. The Patriots had been fielding trade calls this week from teams interested in acquiring Mac Jones, and it didn't take long for an agreement to materialize. Rappaport reports that 4 teams were in the mix for Jones until Sunday's development. Mark Daniels, he posted from Mass Live, from what I was told, teams showed interest in Mac Jones, but there wasn't a strong trade market for him. Mike Giardi reports, despite reports of multiple suitors, per source, the Jaguars were the only team to put an offer on the table. So I think we can look at this first and foremost from the Mac Jones point of view. Mac Jones did not have a ton of trade value. I knew that. Most of you knew that. If anybody thought that the NFL looked at Mac Jones as somebody who could be the next guy for their team, if they felt that this was going to be a very quick reclamation project, that one offseason was going to get him back on the rails, well, obviously that wasn't the case, because you wouldn't get one offer or at least just 2 offers. You wouldn't be trading this guy for a 6th-round pick if the league felt that he was valuable enough. We see this happening with Chicago right now. You know, the Bears are struggling to get rid of Justin Fields. You go back a month or 2 ago, there were some people, not me, but there were some people telling you that Justin Fields could go for a 1st-round pick. I found that to be laughable. They said if not a 1st-round pick, he's going to go for a 2nd-round pick. I've said from day one, 3rd-round pick would be high value to me for Justin Fields. And now you see it with Mac. You know, Fields was better than Mac last year, obviously, and Mac goes for a 6th. Let's start with Elliott Wolf. We've been talking about Elliott Wolf and Gerard Mayo and the urgency that this front office and football team has been showing the past couple of weeks. They showed urgency addressing the tackle position, getting a swing tackle in Chucks earlier this week, right? They got that done quickly. They put the transition tag on Kyle Duggar, made their mind up, got it done quick. And now they're moving on from Mac Jones, and they're not going to sit around. They're not going to wait. Elliott Wolf has shown incredible decisiveness this offseason already. He's not messing around. Hunter Henry, done on the Friday before the legal tampering period. So decisions are being made. They're being made efficiently, and business is getting done. I just kind of vision, Elliott Wolf sitting back in his office with this big checklist just going, okay, check. Hunter Henry, back, check. Mac Jones traded, check. All right, what's next on the list? They're not wasting any time. The Patriots organization is moving quickly. They know they have a lot to address, and the more that you drag your feet, the more that you wait, the more issues you're going to have to get this thing done. So I love the decisiveness, and I love the timing of this trade. Think about it. This is why you want to be decisive. This is why you want to move on quickly. You've made the decision that Mac Jones is not going to be in your future plans. You know you're going to move on from him. Why would you wait another week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? What's the point? Teams are going to be walking into the legal tampering period on Monday. We're going to get a trickle of news, right? Just on your timelines, all over the place. This guy signs, that guy signs, this guy's going to sign. And on Monday, you're going to see a number of quarterbacks, a number of veteran quarterbacks signing deals or at least agreeing to deals because they can't officially sign them just yet. And the Patriots know this. We know this. So when you look at this, the reason why you trade Mac Jones this weekend is because let's say Jacksonville's interested in Mac. Jacksonville's willing to give you a 6th-round pick. But then Jacksonville goes out and signs a veteran quarterback to back up Trevor Lawrence. Maybe they're not happy with C.J. Beathard. Obviously, they're not thrilled with him because they wouldn't make this deal. So if Jacksonville goes out and signs a free agent quarterback, now you just lost the opportunity to get a pick for Mac Jones. You don't want the field to dry up once you get into free agency. So you get the deal done and you move on to the business at hand. You're not going to sit there and haggle over a 5th-round pick or a 6th-round pick. Just get it done. You know Mac's not in the future. Move forward without him. Now, the timing also tells me I believe the Patriots 100% have a veteran quarterback in their back pocket. I don't think they make this move unless they feel really confident that they're signing a free agent coming up tomorrow and we get that news within the next 24 to 48 hours. I would be very surprised. I would be very, very surprised if you don't see some kind of deal with some kind of veteran at that position being leaked out tomorrow or on Tuesday. I would put my money on Jacoby Brissett. People keep reporting about Jacoby Brissett over and over and over again, linking Brissett to the Patriots. So I feel with this deal done, the timing of this deal being done should tell us that the Patriots know that they're going to or already have landed a veteran quarterback. All right, more thoughts. Lots of thoughts from me, lots of thoughts to you on a special Sunday afternoon breaking news podcast. Mac Jones, if you're just joining us, traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars for a 6th-round pick. More thoughts on the trading of Mac Jones. First, a word about our sponsor. We are brought to you by First Class Glazing. Elevate your bathroom experience with First Class Glazing, where they specialize in luxurious bathroom renovations and bathtub glazing. We're talking expert craftsmen using premium materials, precise techniques to create a space that exudes sophistication and charm. Visit First Class Glazing online, firstclassglazing.com, or give my buddy Jose a call, 617-849-0513, 617-849-0513. If you're looking at redoing your bathroom, check out First Class Glazing. All right, back to Mac Jones, back to the Patriots. The player treatment. We need to underline this. The player treatment by Elliott Wolf and Gerard Mayo. We know for a fact that over the past several years, there has been an issue with how certain guys were handled by Bill Belichick and company. And the way that Belichick would do business would rub some people the wrong way. Now, it wasn't as big of a deal when you're winning football games and winning championships. When you're winning Super Bowls, everything is good. But when you start to struggle and when you start to see the team fail, these kinds of things matter. They might not matter to the fan. They might not matter to the media, but I can tell you this for a fact. They matter in the league. How you handle players. Why do you think Gerard Mayo, during the introductory press conference, kept pounding the idea of culture and connecting with players on a personal level? Why do you think when they go out and they bring in an Alex Van Pelt, they talk about the relationship between the coaching staff and the players? The connection matters. The treatment matters. Some players have to be coddled, whether you like it or not. But all players want to be respected. And I think the way that this front office is handling their business, they are showing respect to these players. Think about it. Lawrence Guy and Adrian Phillips. They were both released well before free agency. That is respect to the two veterans. We are going to give you time. We want you to go out there and beat the market. If you think there's going to be interest in you, then you go out there and you have the time to find that interest and sign that deal before free agency begins. That is the ultimate respect to a veteran. Cutting the veteran before March, giving that guy the opportunity to land a job before anybody else can cut him off at the knees. So it starts there. Cutting Guy and Phillips the way they did, ultimate respect to the player. The transition tag on Duggar. Now, I know Kyle Duggar reportedly is not thrilled with being, transition tagged. Maybe when he looks at this from 30,000 feet, he will truly understand that it was a respectful way of doing business. When you look at the safety market, it's depressed. We've talked about this. And so giving the transition tag to Kyle Duggar, it sets the standard. He now has at least a one-year deal at $13.8 million when a lot of these safeties are going to be signing for less money. He has that right now guaranteed if he signed the tag. And so it also does not kind of put the cloud over him where he has to guarantee coming back to New England and he can search out other options. Again, respect. Elliott Wolf showing respect to Lawrence Guy, showing respect to Adrian Phillips, and showing respect to Kyle Duggar. And this continued with Mac Jones. Why did it continue, or how did it continue with Mac Jones? I'll tell you in a minute. But first, King Cato jumps in with a $5 super chat. I appreciate it, King Cato. Always, if you want to jump to the front of the line, we are very busy on this Sunday with the Mac Jones news. If you want your comment or question read, if you want that to be guaranteed, you send a super chat. You help me, you help the program financially, and you jump to the front of the line. 98.5 The Sports Hub says Zappy liked the Patriots Instagram post about Mac being traded. Do you think that could have any repercussion? I don't think so. Maybe. I mean, if Zappy is on the cutting block, if he's in danger of losing his gig, I could see the Patriots looking at this and throwing their hands up and going, why? Why? Now, the immediate reaction, people might believe that Zappy liked the Instagram post because he's happy that Mac Jones is gone. Maybe he's happy that Mac is going somewhere else because Mac wants to go somewhere else. Reportedly, Mac's ready to start over. So I think we can look at that a couple of ways. If I were Zappy, I would stay quiet. And if you ask me about Zappy, I have not been a fan of how he has presented himself at times. I think he's good. There's a good thing about having confidence, right? Having confidence is fantastic, but I feel like Zappy has a little bit too much confidence for where he's at in his career. And it just, I don't know. I thought he was a little too cocky for his own good when he got the job from Mac when Mac was benched. I think this is, useless. Why do you go on social media and like the post? Even if you're liking it because you're happy for Mac to go somewhere else, it's not necessary. And it gets people talking. And you're trying to reset the culture. So I don't love it. I don't love it, King Cato. Zappy liking the Instagram post. Not a fan of that idea. But I appreciate you sending a super chat. All right, back to the idea of the Patriots respecting Mac Jones. How did they respect Mac Jones? Well, according to Burt Breer, the Patriots informed Mac of its intention to trade him right after the combine. That is showing respect. That's respecting the player. When you tell the guy, we're going to move on from you. You tell him the tough news, but you tell him the tough news because you're respecting him. You're not keeping it a secret. You're not stringing him along. You're not putting the carrot in front of him. You're telling him straight up, right after the combine, look, this is what we're doing, Mac. We intend to trade you. We intend to move on from you. Now, the other part of this is the idea that they told Mac Jones that they were going to trade him after the combine. Maybe they saw what they needed to see at the combine, right? All of the reports about the Patriots liking these top three quarterbacks, wanting to draft a quarterback, planning on drafting a quarterback at 3. This might give you a little bit more confidence in that idea that Elliott Wolf liked what he saw at the combine. He enjoyed the interviews he had with these quarterback prospects. And at that moment, he felt really confident. All right, we're moving on from Mac. Maybe up until the combine, they kind of kept it open just in case things went wrong. Just in case. And then once they saw the writing on the wall, once they saw these guys at the combine, once they talked to them, the interviews were done, and then Elliott went to Mac Jones immediately. Again, Elliott Wolf not wasting time. I love this. Wolf made the decision right there at the combine and said, all right, we're done. We were probably leaving Mac off somewhere else to enjoy his football career, but absolutely right now we know that's going to happen. So Wolf didn't mess around. He didn't leak information about Max. He either picked up the phone or they met in person and they told Mac, we're moving on from you, Mac. We intend to trade you. That's how you handle it. That's how you handle somebody with respect. You tell them up front. You're honest with them. We have assessed the situation. We appreciate you, but we're moving on from you. We intend to trade you. Now, if multiple teams were interested, another sign of respect is sending Mac to Jacksonville because that is his home. So if the Patriots thought they could send Mac elsewhere and they had more than one offer on the table, again, reports differ on that. But if they had more than one offer on the table, trading Jones to Jacksonville is a respectful thing to do because he's going back home. He's going back to an environment that he's very comfortable. You're giving him a great chance with Doug Peterson to kind of reset his career, right? He's got Peterson, who is seen as a quarterback guru. Trevor Lawrence is the number one quarterback right now. There's going to be no quarterback controversy, at least not right away. Lawrence is the guy. So you send him to a place that we all know he's going to be quarterback to start. You're sending him to a coach that is a quarterback whisperer that will take care of him, and you're sending him back home. I think it's a great opportunity for Mac Jones to restart his NFL career, and I think it's a fantastic job by Elliott Wolf and company of respecting the player during the process. This is how it's supposed to be done. And I'm telling you, it might not matter to you, but it matters to the players. It matters to the people in that league. In that league, it matters. All right, we have a lot more coming up. First, I remind you, this is the first time I've said this today. We're 17 minutes in. Give us that like. Thumbs up. I appreciate every single like that this channel gets. And we've got to do this to beat the algorithm. That's how it works. I'm not sitting here waiting for affirmation from all of you. It's a simple algorithm. If you hit that thumbs up, if you're watching on YouTube, that's what we do. We beat that algorithm up like Sean O'Malley beat up Cheeto Vera last night in the main event of UFC 299. That's what we want to do. We want to beat up that algorithm. Give us that like, that thumbs up. If you're watching on Facebook, you can like it as well. Twitter/X, like it as well. Comment and subscribe. We're trying to hit 2,250 subscriptions by the next couple of days. That was the goal we set a couple of weeks ago. We are under 30 away from that. So if you're watching, you're listening, you're liking, don't forget to like, but also subscribe. We're trying to hit that goal. We're getting very, very close. I appreciate every single one of you. And when you're catching up on Spotify, Apple Pods, rate and review. And also, Patreon page launches tomorrow. I am going to have a Patreon page, exclusive content, only $5 a month, $1.25 a week. Last night, my draft beers were $5. The cost of one draft beer gives you a month of exclusive content. We're talking ad-free podcasts, a mailbag, a hangout Q&A twice a month. I'm going to do a special NFL free agency podcast tomorrow night for all of you that sign up to that Patreon page. It's patreon.com/Nick Cattles, Cattles. Patreon.com/Nick Cattles, $5 a month. It was time to move on from Mac. And I have been saying this since the season ended, that it just felt like the right thing to do. And I know some people disagreed with that. Some people believe that you want to hold on to Mac Jones. Some people believe that Mac Jones could have made the best out of his career by returning here. And the Patriots surrounding him with talent like they didn't do the first time around with Bill Belichick. I understand some people felt that way, but I always felt that it was the right move to move on from Mac. The locker room is not fully behind him, reportedly. Now, I don't know how many guys are not behind him. I don't know how many guys that are still around aren't behind him. We know that Hunter Henry has said great things about him. Kendrick Bourne said great things about him. But there are a lot of reports that are out there that, Mac did not necessarily win over the locker room last year. And why do you want to have that unsettled situation? You're trying to move forward. You are trying to, make sure that people in that locker room get along, they support each other, and they believe in each other. And there was a lack of belief, at least in some corners of that locker room, that Mac Jones was the guy, that he was a starting franchise quarterback. So with the locker room not fully behind him, it's really tough to sell. And also, not all coaches were behind him. That's another issue. And when you look at Alex Van Pelt's offense, a lot of bootleg action, right? A lot of throwing down the field and testing defenses vertically. That's not necessarily a strong suit for Mac. So I didn't think that he was the greatest fit within what Van Pelt wants to do. The locker room is not fully behind him. Some of the coaching staff has been questioning him. Now, how many guys on that coaching staff were questioning him have gone on? I don't know. But if you looked at Mac, it was simple. You couldn't bank on him in 2024. Even if you thought he might have had a chance to come back, even if you thought he had a chance to be decent, there's just no way on God's green earth, at least to my eyes, after what you saw last year, you would be willing to bank on this guy to be your quarterback. He just didn't play well enough last year. Whether it was his fault, Belichick's fault, everybody else's fault, we can sit there and try to split the blame pie any way that we can. But the fact is, if you're Gerard Mayo, you can't walk into 2024 believing that Mac is just going to get it back. I don't know how you could feel that way. A lot of fans were out on Mac Jones. You gonna sit there and put him through that? Got to deal with, people booing him and all the media talk and conversations, and he's asked questions over and over and over again. I don't quite think it would have worked. And obviously the Patriots didn't think it was going to work. And obviously the Patriots coaching staff did not believe in Mac Jones because they just traded him for a 6th-round pick. It's not like they were knocked over with value here. And if you think that Mac Jones could have hung around and been QB2, I think that would have been very awkward. Alberto jumps in with a comment. I think it's the best decision for everybody to move on from Mac. He was put in a place to start over now. Time to check off the list. And Kyle and Mac. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at a situation, and Kyle and Mike, he said, rather, obviously, Owenu and Duggar. You're just looking at a situation where it was not going to be a clean return. And all of those questions, they could create issues. They could cause problems. Semi-Charm Life says, Ryan Wilson mocking J.J. McCarthy to the Pats at number 3 overall. The J.J. McCarthy stuff I still don't get. I'm not telling you he can't be a good quarterback. He might end up being a very good quarterback. But he didn't do much at Michigan last year. They didn't ask him to do much. And everybody was telling me how he was going to crush the combine. He didn't crush the combine, even though there was a narrative coming out of the combine that he did really, really well. Nobody's questioning his attitude, his approach. He is full of intangibles. He has won at high school and college at a very, very high level. He has athleticism. He weighed in bigger than people thought he was going to weigh in at. But his combine, his throwing was a little bit uneven. So I understand people are throwing out, J.J. McCarthy being in the top 10, but, my goodness. My goodness. The Grizz, when Mac is starting again and playing well, I can't wait for the haters to pretend it's not real. I'm not writing off Mac Jones. I'm not one of those people that's going to write Mac Jones off. I believe that Mac could be an NFL quarterback, and I've said that from day one. I just don't think the chances of him being a number 1 quarterback here in New England were great after what happened the last 2 years. And I think that when you're trying to rebuild this program and you're trying to start from new in many cases, to bring him back in 2024 would have been a very difficult situation for the team, would have been very difficult for Mayo, would have been very difficult for Mac Jones. And I think that's why the reports are coming out now that Mac Jones is looking forward to starting anew. I think Mac felt that a little bit. He felt that pressure. He didn't like how he was treated here in New England. I've seen it referenced as scar tissue, and I think it's a very smart way to look at it. There was a lot of scar tissue between Mac Jones and the Patriots. And if you're Mayo, you're trying to get everybody feeling good. You want all the right vibes. You are trying to connect to players at a high level now, and you don't want to bring in something that might cause an issue. And Mac Jones might have been too much of a risk when you don't know the reward. But I would not write Mac Jones off. I would not be surprised if Mac Jones, after a year or two, is back playing in the NFL and playing well. I also think you got to leave the door open for him being totally done and broken and just being destroyed here in New England. Maybe that's what happens. W. Brundog, Nick, working the Sunday. Yeah, man, big news. Mac Jones traded. We jump on. Breaking news pod. That's what we do here. Appreciate you, W. Brundog. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Trying to hit 2,250 subscribers by this week. We're like 30 away from that. So if you haven't subscribed yet, you like what we do here, don't forget to subscribe. Again, like. Those thumbs mean an awful lot. An awful lot for us. That's how we build this community. And we have had a lot of momentum over the past couple of weeks, and it's all because of you. So I think it would have been awkward to have Mac Jones be QB2 on this team. I just feel like it was going to be asking for too much. All right. One last thing I want to talk about with Mac. And I want to make this clear. Mac could have flamed out as an NFL quarterback no matter what. He could have ended up being the ultimate failure that he looked like last year. He might have never been a legitimate starting quarterback if things were handled differently here in New England. We have no idea what Mac would have looked like, a year or two from now if things were done correctly. We don't know if he would have landed in the same spot and failed and flamed out. We don't know if Mac could have ended up being a QB1 for 10 years. All I know is this. The way that this was handled, the way that Mac Jones was handled by Bill Belichick gave Mac Jones zero chance of proving anything, whether he was going to stink or he was going to be good. He had no chance. And here's what the Patriots need to learn. You are drafting at number 3. If you draft a quarterback at 3, if you draft a quarterback at the top of the second round, any young quarterback that you bring into this system, whether it be Jaden Daniels or Drake May or J.J. McCarthy or Michael Penix or Bo Nix, whichever young quarterback comes in, the Patriots have to learn from this Mac Jones situation. And this was one of the reasons why I could not, for the life of me, as much as I appreciated and respected what Bill Belichick did for this organization through the first couple of decades and the Super Bowls that he won and the games that he won. This is why I could not, in good conscience, allow Belichick to come back for 2024, especially holding the keys for the organization and running that front office. And don't get it twisted. Belichick would have been running this front office. You got a bunch of lame duck contracts in that front office. You had all these free agents walking into the wilderness. And so I did not want Belichick back because I did not believe Belichick would be willing to give up personnel power. And I was not going to trust Belichick handling the most important position on the field because of the way that he handled things or didn't handle things with Mac Jones. And the Patriots, Elliott Wolf, they need to learn the lesson. And I'm sure that they have, and I hope that they have. But the lesson is this. The quarterback is not a magic wand. Unless you have somebody like Patrick Mahomes, who is truly unbelievable and can elevate everybody else with his play and does borderline miraculous things. 99.8% of the quarterbacks, they're not magic wands. They need help. It is a dependent position. They need support. And that's the lesson from the Mac Jones debacle, is that you handled things as badly as you could have. And if you do it again, you're going to ruin the next guy. Even if that guy is much more talented than Mac physically. He has elite traits. You are going to screw things up if you mishandle the quarterback situation the way you did with Mac Jones. You failed to give him a number 1 weapon, a legitimate number 1 NFL weapon. You failed to do that. Your offensive line play was garbage. You went out and you brought in Riley Reif and Calvin Anderson and failed to address the tackle position suitably. You gave Mac Jones 3 offensive coordinators in 3 years. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. You can put any name in there, say quarterback X. If quarterback X doesn't have a legitimate number one weapon, if quarterback X has bad NFL offensive line play, if quarterback X has to deal with 3 different offensive coordinators and technically 3 different offenses, quarterback X is behind the 8 ball before he even begins his career. He's in trouble. And if you shattered the young guy's confidence by not talking to him, reportedly, if you embarrass that person on national television when they're physically not ready to come back, but you put them out there and you get the backup chance during Monday Night Football, and then you have the quick leash and you bench the guy on national television, you're going to mess with the psyche. If you're having trade talks and the guy knows you don't like him anymore, you're going to mess him up. Quarterbacks are not magic wands. They're the most important position in the league, but they need to be taken care of. And you can never, if you are the Patriots, you can never handle the quarterback position with a young quarterback the way you did with Mac Jones ever again. And it doesn't matter if you believed in Mac or didn't believe in Mac. Just look at this as a fan. Just look at it as quarterback and how you create the best environment for that quarterback. I mean, Bill Belichick literally went down the list of things not to do for a young quarterback and checked everything off the list. So if you go out and you draft May or you draft Daniels or you draft McCarthy, whoever you draft, give that guy legitimate NFL weapons. Give him an offensive line that can protect at a decent level. Give him an offensive coordinator that he can grow with. And this is what we see from this Patriots front office already. We see how the organization is looking at the quarterback position, don't we? We'll have more about this on the podcast tomorrow, but there's lots of smoke surrounding Calvin Ridley and the Patriots. And it is known. It has been reported by everybody, locally, nationally. The Patriots are hungry. They are thirsty to address the wide receiver position. So you walk in to this offseason with a focus on trying to bring in receivers that will help. You re-sign Hunter Henry. You're chasing a guy like Calvin Ridley. You were interested in Mike Evans. Already we see that this front office, that Elliott Wolf, is focused on trying to get a legitimate wide receiver in town. We already know that they hired Alex Van Pelt, who played quarterback at the NFL level, who has great relationships with quarterbacks in the past. He loves developing quarterbacks. Ben McAdoo is seen as some kind of quarterback whisperer. Very good job at evaluating quarterbacks. They bring in T.C. McCartney. They devote a legitimate quarterbacks coach. One job you've got, quarterbacks coach. So we already start to see the early signs that this front office respects and appreciates the quarterback position more than the prior regime. And that's a great start, because no matter who it is, if it's May, if it's Daniels, whoever it is, you've got to make sure that that quarterback is taken care of with talent and with his development. That's how this works. And so I feel pretty good and optimistic about how Elliott Wolf is doing business and what he's looking at and how he is, understanding that we need a quarterback and we need to take care of that quarterback. Christian Barmore, by the way, just under 20 minutes ago, posted, "Go be great, 10." So Barmore standing behind Mac Jones should not be too much of a surprise. Barmore was teammates at Alabama with Mac Jones, but Christian Barmore voicing his support for Mac Jones. Matthew Wilson says, the Mac Jones debacle is on everybody, former and current Patriots. Yeah, everybody takes a slice of the blame pie. Mac is not completely blameless. He made a lot of bad decisions, especially last year. Issues. But he was not given a great chance to succeed at the NFL level by what he was not given. That's what I would say. Michael Cutler says, Bailey Zappy, keep or to be cut? I think he's going to be gone. But is there a scenario that he could stay and compete as the emergency third quarterback with Rourke? Sure. They might keep him around. But as we know, the NFL's not interested in Bailey Zappy business. He was cut last year. Nobody wanted him. So I don't think you're in danger in any way of, worrying about, the Bailey Zappy future and what he can do. S27, cut Zappy, bring in Joe Flacco, draft a quarterback in the first round, get EJ Perry as possible QB3. Again, I think Zappy will be cut. That's my bet. He'll end up off the team. Maybe not. Maybe he'll be the third guy, but I would lean towards that. Joe Flacco, sounds like Joe Flacco might end up going back to the Browns. I wouldn't rule out Flacco, veteran. Look, I know he was off the couch last year, but he played really well for Alex Van Pelt. He obviously knows the system. He's an adult in the room. He would help guide a young quarterback. So I'm not against Flacco. It just sounds like Flacco might be staying in Cleveland. Cali Lama says, with Matt going for a sixth rounder, how's that going to impact what Fields will get on the trade market? I think it will affect it. I mean, Justin Fields right now does not have a hot market. It's the exact opposite. Remember, Ryan Poles, the GM of the Bears, said during the Combine week that he wanted to trade Fields before free agency. That was one of his top priorities. And here we are, legal tampering begins tomorrow at noon, and Fields is still a Chicago Bear. And I was reading this morning on ESPN.com with Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano that now the thought is Ryan Poles might wait. He might wait to trade Justin Fields to see how the, musical chairs at quarterback develops in free agency, and they might deal Fields after free agency, or, free agency doesn't end until the season begins. So you would say at least, around draft time. But I do think, if you look at this and you say Mac Jones goes for a sixth round pick, I don't think Chicago's getting a second round pick for Justin Fields. I might even question now if they're going to get a third round pick for Justin Fields. A lot of people talking, Mike Lombardi and others reporting that, Fields might not have a starting gig in 2024. The supply and demand is different this time around for the quarterback position. I mean, you look around the league, you've got Brissett, you've got Minshew, you've got Flacco, you've got a number of free agents, right? The two top free agents are Kirk Cousins and Baker Mayfield. So there's a lot of quarterbacks that are going to be available. And how much better is Justin Fields than some of these other guys that are on the market? And I'm not including Cousins and Mayfield because those guys are going to get money. Those guys are seen as number one quarterbacks. I'm talking about how much difference is there between Justin Fields and Gardner Minshew? Is there enough for you to give up a pick and have to make a decision on Fields' fifth-year option, which is another part of this? I mean, you have to commit to Fields. If you're going to trade a second-round pick or a third-round pick for Justin Fields, you have to commit to him, not only for 2024, but I also think you got to pick up that fifth-year option. So how much better is Justin Fields than a Gardner Minshew when Gardner Minshew is going to cost you some money, but not as much money as Fields is going to cost you, and you don't have to give up an asset for Minshew? Same question could be asked for Brissett. Same question could be asked for Joe Flacco. So the market for Justin Fields is soft. Right now, it's soft. Because if it wasn't soft, he'd be gone. Again, Ryan Poles, general manager, comes out and says, we want to trade him before free agency begins. There's only one reason why you wouldn't trade him before free agency begins tomorrow at noon. It's because you don't have a deal that you like. Everybody pretty much feels that Chicago's drafting Caleb Williams number one, that the combine sealed that up. So Justin Fields would not be in Chicago right now if there was any offer that was decent on the table. All right, let's jump through some more of these comments here. Let's go. Says, good luck, Mac. Yeah, I hope Mac succeeds at his next stop. I really do. I'll be rooting for Mac Jones. I know some people won't. I know some people just don't like him. That's cool. I am going to be rooting for him. Wes Jenkins says, May, QB1. Very interesting stuff now on Drake May, right? Last couple of weeks, there's just been this bevy of things written and said about how Drake May is falling and, for the last year and a half, 2 years, he's been seen as the solid number 2 quarterback in this field behind Caleb Williams. And now the past couple of weeks, you can't help but read stuff on Drake May maybe not being as good as people thought he was going to be. How much of that is smoke? This tends to happen every year. When you've got a quarterback, you've got a couple of quarterbacks that have been talked about an awful lot in a draft class. People feel like it's a fait accompli that those guys are going to get hired. Those guys are going to get drafted at the top of a draft. And then as you go along and you're picking apart all of these young quarterbacks, more and more people start to poke holes. I think that's what's happening with Drake May right now. You go back and look at his 2022 film with Longo as his OC, a system that fit him better with better options at receiver and more talent on the team. Drake May in 2022 would be battling any quarterback to be the number 1 pick in that draft. His 2023 film is what people are freaking out about. And look, the footwork, the elongated, release and all of that stuff, those are mechanical things. But his natural talent is legitimate. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's a super athlete for his size. And he has been somebody who's proven that can make off-platform throws. When you talk about big-time throws, Pro Football Focus, Drake May has made a lot of big-time throws, even last year when his numbers were down. A lot of drops from North Carolina receivers. I'm not telling you that Drake May is guaranteed to be a great quarterback. Nobody is guaranteed to be a great quarterback. But I would remind you, a lot of people were poking holes in Patrick Mahomes when he was coming out from Texas Tech. A lot of people said he tries to do too much, tries to hit too many home runs. His mechanics are a little bit different. He does certain things funky. People had a lot of questions about Justin Herbert when he was coming out. So this stuff happens. All right, don't forget to give us that thumbs up, like, comment, and subscribe. Trying to hit 2,250 subscriptions by this week. Within the next couple of days, we're about 20 to 30 away from that. So please subscribe as you watch us on this Sunday afternoon. It means the world to me. Don't forget to give us that thumbs up to beat the YouTube algorithm. If you're watching on Facebook, throw out a like as well. Twitter/X, you can do that. And Patreon starts tomorrow. Exclusive content for all of you. Ad-free podcasts, mailbag, Q&A, hangouts a couple times a month. Tomorrow, I'm going to launch the Patreon page. We're going to start with a very special podcast tomorrow night on NFL free agency. We'll look at some of the moves that were made by the Patriots, by other teams, how those moves might impact the Patriots. So the Patreon page, exclusive content, will not impact this pod, still Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. But the Patreon page will give you the exclusive content, patreon.com/Nick Cattles, Cattles. That's patreon.com/Nick Cattles. Corey Dias jumps in, says, like and subscribe. Let's build. Yes, let's build. Jimmy B. Cards, not feeling good about this draft class. This draft class is going to suck. Look at the 2021 draft class. Now, here's what I'll say, Jimmy B. We can't make the mistake of treating every draft the same. You can't be afraid of drafting a quarterback in late April because of what happened in 2021. The moment you do that, the moment you hurt yourself. Every draft, I've said this, drafts are like snowflakes. They're all different, baby. One draft is completely different than the next draft. One draft, you get all sorts of guys that are NFL ready. One draft, you can get Tua Tagovailoa and Justin Herbert and, all these guys, right? You could look at some of these drafts. I've done the work. And we did this on a podcast going back a couple weeks ago. When you look at certain drafts, they have been quarterback rich. There have been certain drafts that you look back and you say, man, there were 3 or 4 really good quarterbacks in that draft. The first 3 quarterbacks taken, or 3 out of the top 5 that were taken, or 3 out of the top 4 that were taken, were fantastic. You can look back at, again, the 2018 draft class as an example of that. I mean, guys were, you might have been worried because, will there really be 3 quarterbacks that are going to work? And are there really 3 franchise quarterbacks in this class? Or is it going to be a reach? Are you reaching if you do that? Right? And then you look and you say, well, maybe you weren't reaching so much. Maybe that draft class is legitimate. So you never know until you get into the draft. And 2020 is what I meant for Tua, obviously. But you look at that 2020 draft class, right? I mean, what if you were afraid to draft because the prior draft wasn't good? It's a different draft, different prospects, different players. If you walked into the 2020 draft, you'd be concerned about drafting Justin Herbert third because, oh man, the third quarterback usually doesn't work. He worked that year, didn't he? Burrow, Tua, Herbert worked out just fine, didn't it? So it all comes down to the evaluation. It's as simple as that. It doesn't come down to what happened in prior drafts or what's going to happen in future drafts. It's the evaluation process. If you believe in a quarterback and you love the quarterback and you believe that quarterback can be an upper echelon starter, can be a top 5 to 8 QB in the league, you draft that quarterback and you don't think twice about it. You can't be afraid of what has happened in past drafts. Because there have been drafts where guys have been picked at that position and have been outstanding. There have been 3 quarterbacks drafted in the first round, and all 3 have worked out. So you can't freak out about that kind of stuff. Every draft is different. Every quarterback prospect is different. You have to evaluate it correctly. All right, it's a Sunday. I'm going to head out. I appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. It means the world to us. And throw that thumb up. Hopefully you enjoyed this. We're back tomorrow. I'm going to be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Here's the deal. Tomorrow's going to be wild. So 11 a.m. we'll have the live podcast, and we will give you all the latest. Some of the stuff that has been coming out over the weekend, some of the stuff that comes out tomorrow morning. The legal tampering period begins at noon tomorrow officially. So deals are going to start being leaked at noon. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a live podcast, about a 30-minute podcast at 11 a.m. tomorrow, talk about some of the stuff that has happened leading up to the legal tampering period. And then as soon as some big news drops, we're going to do a podcast. We're going to go live again with a breaking news pod. And if more news breaks as we're doing the podcast, we're just going to stay on. We're going to continue to have the conversation. I might not eat. We'll see. I'll bring some snacks in the room. But tomorrow is going to be wild. This week is going to be wild. I appreciate every single one of you. But I will send this one out into the social media world and into the podcast world for now. Wrap it up. Appreciate every single one of you. If you like what we do, like, comment, and subscribe. This has been a special Sunday afternoon breaking news edition. Mac Jones to the Jaguars for a 6th round pick of the Nick